Well, good evening, San Antonio, and those of you that may be joining in from wherever you're located. Thank you for taking this time out to share with us, to listen to our conversation on tonight. A couple of young ladies that will, we have a couple of young ladies that will be leading our conversation or hosting our meeting on tonight, and I want them to introduce themselves as I turn it over to them, and I kind of drift over into the background. I want them to have full run of tonight's show. So at this time now, ladies, you you have the floor.
Well, thank you, Reverend Jones, and good evening to everyone. My name is Tracy Shelton. I am thrilled to be here talking about reading tonight. I'm sitting with my really good friend, Tina Hill Finister. How are you?
I'm doing great and happy to discuss reading.
Yes. So I Tina is the owner of Hill Fin Creative, and she's a designer, and she is a decorator, and she is my go-to person when it comes to reading and books. And so I thought when we were asked to have this conversation, I thought she'd be the first person, the best person to have the conversation with. So we're going to spend just a little bit of time with you tonight talking about books and the impact of books and reading on our personal lives and how it might impact you at all. At the end of this hour conversation, we hope that you can align with us or at least give us some feedback about why you don't align with us, and that we're going to also provide some resources for you regarding summer reading. You guys may or may not know, but I happen to sit on the Northeast Independent School District Board of Trustees representing the Roosevelt Cluster, Go Rough Riders, District 2. And so it's really important, not just because of that, generally, it's really important that we don't allow our kids to do the summer slide, where when we stop going to school every day and are actively learning, in a classroom, we sometimes our children regress. So we'll give some resources throughout our conversation, and again at the end about where we can make sure our kids are involved and continuing to learn in a fun way throughout the summer. Okay, so here we go. So Tina, Tracy, welcome to the deck.
I'm so excited about the deck.
We're glad to be outside. It's a beautiful afternoon in San Antonio. It is not that hot. So we'll sip on some sweet tea and enjoy some of our books in front of us. Tell me, what are you reading right now?
I am reading Yesteryear.
Yesteryear.
Yesteryear. It's by Carol Claire Berg, and it is a story about a trad wife influencer who is transported to 1855 to really test whether she is truly a traditional wife. So I just started the book, but I love the premise, and I've already talked to a couple of friends who are going to read along with me, and we are going to have a good discussion regarding this topic after.
Oh, traditional wife. It's called Trad
It's
Wife.
called
It's
Trad Wife.
traditional wife.
It's
Okay.
traditional wife.
You'll have to let me know how that is.
You will be the first person I call
Okay.
after my comments.
Okay, I
Absolutely.
appreciate that. I just finished a book called A Man Is Not a Woman, which is about a Palestinian family who come to the United States
Yeah.
and the traditions that they tried to bring into America, some of which their family rejected having lived here. And so that connection of cultures and the disconnection of cultures based on where you were, really, really good book. I'm super excited that I have just picked up for the second time Black Fortunes,
Mhm.
which is a really great book about the Black people in America who made it, right? And when we talk about made it, those first millionaires and
Right.
how they controlled much of commerce quietly, almost under the radar, so that they less harm came to them. Harm still came, but less harm came to them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, please check out our books here. There's so many good ones. Black Cake is here.
Black Cake.
If you haven't read it, it is so worth the read. And if you've seen it on Hulu, that's a great series, but it did not finish the book.
Yeah.
And please even though the series was great, the book is so much better.
The book is better.
So please read the book.
Yeah, we have a really good friend, Dr. Caprica Wells, and she just published a book called Another Face of Trauma. It's about her story. It's a really, really good read. And then I'm also going to recommend, you guys may or may not know Dr. Tybee Nobles Whitlock. She has a children's book that actually just got approved to be in the libraries at NEISD called Give Me, Give Me. It's a childhood series, and there's supported information in the back to help parents. So it's something you can do with your children. It's something they can do on their own. So those are by some local authors that we know and love. Libraries at NEISD called Give Me, Give Me. It's a childhood series. Okay. So, Tina, you enjoy reading like I do. Tell me, how did you come to enjoy books?
I grew up with teachers as parents. My mom was an elementary education teacher. She taught third grade most of her career. And we spent summers at the library, read all the time. And it was exciting to go to the library and check out books and learn new things. I mean, it's really what gave my brother his career that he has now. He's a journalist, and it all started with him learning to read through sports. And he is continuing that love of reading with his sports. He's a writer now. But we spent all our time in the library when we weren't at home. And after college, you know, I took a break because you've read so much going through school. All through high school, I was a voracious reader. And in college, I kind of took a step back from reading personally because I was so focused on getting that degree. And once I got out into the workforce, I got stuck in an airport once, picked up, to be honest, The Firm.
The Firm by John Grisham.
And while I was stuck in an airport, and I have never stopped reading since.
Awesome.
I mean, it just reconnected my love of reading. And I keep a book in my handbag or in my tote bag. There's always a book with me.
Mm-hmm. So I love that. And I want to go back to your brother, who I know as well. So he is a journalist who loves sports, who grew up loving the Dallas Cowboys. Yes. And his dream was to work for, with, or around them. Reading helped him become a journalist. And for the last
30
years, he has written for and about his favorite team, the Dallas Cowboys. And so, you know, reading can take us places that we had not thought or that we wanted to go, right, and weren't sure how to get there. So one of the things we talked about is what can we do this summer for our children, to support our children. And Tina talked about her mom having her in the library all summer long. That's one of the best places to go. It's free. It's air conditioned. They have programming, and sometimes they have snacks. Your library in your neighborhood will likely have lots of programs at different times for the children and for adults. I own a business called Alamo Kitchens and work in a nonprofit, the Community Table Foundation. We recently went to the Forest Hills branch of the library and did an entire series on Juneteenth and the foods that we eat related to Juneteenth. And the library put that on. We had adult learners come in and we were talking about food. And while you were there, you could just pick up a book. Right. So I'm going to encourage us to find the time to make our way to the library as one of the places that we can take our children to read.
There's also the bookstore.
And the bookstore.
All the major bookstores now have Children's Hour.
Yes.
Every week. And lots of independent stores do as well. And they both bring in children authors. So it's a great resource for kids to go and meet their favorite author and even find access to new authors or new books and expose them to new ideas, which is what reading is all about, really, is expanding your mind and your world, really.
Yeah, because if we stay in what we know and we don't, when we read another book, it transports us. When we were little, we were, you know, we did okay, but my parents couldn't afford to take us on vacation. And so the library, my mom would say, let's go. Where do we want to go today? We want to go to China. Do we want to go to Japan? Do we want to go to Nebraska? Where do we want to go today? And we would go to the library and find books about that town or that state, that
Right.
country, that thing that we were interested in. And that was one of the ways we traveled. And it allowed us to learn about places and cultures and people and things that we did not know about. And, you know, when I think about A Woman Is No Man, it's not a book that I would have normally picked up,
Right.
but someone recommended it. It transported me to a completely different culture, and it made me start to ask questions that I would not have thought to ask before. So I want to say, give a shout out for the library and the ability to lean into that librarian to help you find really good books that are if tell them what you're interested in,
Right.
and they'll help you find books along that line. My boys were interested in sports. Who is the football player? He had the boys' sports books. My boys read them as their.
Oh, I remember, but I can't.
Oh gosh,
And it was brothers.
it was brothers.
And I cannot.
They were Black brothers. We will find it, and if we
Yes.
don't find it in the next hour, we will link it in the Facebook later.
Yeah.
But it's a great series for young boys of color, written by young boys of color
Right.
who happen to play football. Barber, was it Tiki Barber?
And his brother, I think so.
Yeah.
I think it was the Barber brothers.
The
but
Barber
they wrote
brothers.
a great series of books
Mm-hmm.
for young boys.
For young boys.
Tiki
So
and
there's
Rondo.
what's
Tiki
that
and
again?
Rondo.
Yes.
Tiki and Rondo.
Yes, that's it. That's it.
Thank you for your assistance.
Great stories for young boys, written by men, telling their story and really encouraging our brown boys. We think about bookstores, we think about the big ones, but there is a wonderful Black-owned bookstore in San Antonio, Pandora,
It's downtown.
and she's pretty amazing. She'll order what you
You'll
want.
order anything you want. It's adorable little store. Please visit.
Please visit. And that's important. It's important for us to buy local because that's how small businesses stay in businesses. We have to not just talk about them, we have to support them with our dollars. So Pandora is a really great one. And then Nowhere.
Nowhere
Book.
on Broadway.
On Broadway.
It's a great little independent bookstore as
Mhm.
well.
Mm-hmm. And then isn't there one in the Pearl? I can't think of the name of it.
Yeah, the Twig.
The Twig.
The Twig and the Pearl is also fantastic.
And the Twig will have a lot of, all of these have programming, but I know the Twig has a lot of programming.
Yes.
And the Pearl, is a great place for young families.
It's also a great place to read. Like
Yes.
in the spring or whenever, early morning outside. It's so beautiful there. It's reading outside like we are right now.
Yes.
This is a great place to
Yes.
hang out with a book,
Yes.
especially in great weather, in the park on a bench, wherever. Find you a
Just
spot
find-
to read.
Now, Tina, I want to ask you because if I have a really busy life, like so many people that are watching,
Yes.
how do you find time to read? Like that's the hard thing. And I think it's one of the reasons that people stop reading.
Yes, I agree with that. But I think the love of reading makes you make the time to read, right?
Mhm.
Like you find it because you love it. And when you're trying to reintroduce yourself to it, honestly, Audible or audio reading is really an easy resource because I keep a book on Audible in my car. So every day I don't really listen to the radio anymore. I listen to a book. There's always a book going when I'm in the car. If I take a long drive on a trip, I can start a book and finish it. Depending on the book I choose. If it's a long drive, I can finish that book on my car drive, one way or the other.
Yeah.
But like I said, I keep a book with me. So whenever I have downtime, if I'm in a doctor's office or if I have to wait in a line, I have that book.
It becomes a substitute for scrolling our phones and just being
Right.
on Instagram reading or TikTok or whatever, reading
And I don't want to hate on social media because there are so many resources socially now for you to learn about books and to learn about authors.
that is true.
There are so many groups on Facebook and Instagram and Threads where you can learn about new books that are coming out. You can hear your authors talk about books in podcasts. So it is a resource for reading to maybe expand what you are reading, because that's really how I discovered Yesteryear was through an Instagram post.
Okay.
So yes, we don't want to spend all of our time on the trash, but there are resources for us there as well to learn about new things that are coming out.
Well, but your algorithm, I'm just going to stay on social media for just 1 second because your your algorithm feeds you what you like.
True.
So my algorithm feeds me cooking videos because I own a kitchen. I care about food. Workout videos because
Yes.
I've decided that that's important to me.
Right.
And things on education. And that's really tied to me being on the school board, which is usually teacher information or books,
Or books.
right?
Yeah.
And so I guess we just train our algorithm to move us towards some type of literature. And I would say my big kids are big readers. My youngest son was not that interested in reading. And so the librarian said to me, we just want him to read something. Magazine,
Right.
comics, graphic novels. And we did that. I want us to make sure that it's okay that as long as we are reading, that's what's really important.
We don't have to put it in a box.
It does not have to be.
And be so traditional.
It does not have to be so traditional.
Yeah.
Right. And so as long as we're reading, that's what's
Reading, learning, expanding.
Reading, learning, expanding. I love that. Did we lose our video? I can't either. We're going to see if we lost our video.
Says turn on
Well,
reactions.
Tracy, you're still on video.
Hey, John.
How are you? How are you doing?
Good. Okay, awesome.
Good to see you.
Um,
God bless.
So reading, learning, expanding, those all become important. I would offer that with people with really busy lives, it is difficult to find time to read. Man is No Woman, I did on Audible. No, because I am frugal. Okay, I am frugal. And so the San Antonio Public Library
that is a good resource.
has audiobooks.
Yes,
They
it
have
does.
hardcover books like this. They have softcover trade backs. They have magazines. They have cookbooks you can check out.
That's correct.
They have audio books. And almost every book I get from them now is an audiobook. I travel a lot back and forth to Austin. And so I listen to my books in the car.
That is true. You can get that now through the public library. It's a new source. They're keeping up with the times. Like, if you want to read, there are resources for you to read.
And to help you read for free. And I shouldn't say it's free. You don't have to pay right then. Your tax dollars have paid for it. So let's leverage those things. And I'm just going to encourage people to just give yourself 15 minutes a day.
You have to start somewhere.
20 minutes a day.
Yes.
Read a magazine article. Read an article. Sometimes I read articles on Instagram.
Right.
Honestly. I read the newspaper sometimes
Online.
on my phone.
Because they don't print magazines and newspapers.
No, not like
So
they
you
did.
have to be able to read that online. So yeah, whatever the resource is to get your mind working back into reading. Do
Right.
it.
Yeah.
I have a question for you ladies.
Yes.
Now, there's a difference between listening to a book and reading a book.
Oh, that's a big debate in the reading community.
No, I'm just saying there is a difference.
There is a
Because
difference.
There's a difference. It's not even a debate. I understand the book is knowledge. It's supposed to be knowledge. We read for knowledge. We listen for knowledge.
Correct.
So if we can't read, we should listen.
Yes.
But okay,
Yes.
we're there. But when we talk about reading, I'm expecting. I want
You
my
want
child.
this.
That's what I want. I want them to
Yes.
read.
Yeah.
So, Reverend Jones, I would say yes and.
I would agree.
I now, my next question for Tina was kind of how do we move reading from just a pastime to something that we're actively doing? My life is super busy. I wake up at 4:30 in the morning. I'm exhausted by 9. And I don't always find time in the day to sit down and read. I will find time to listen to my audiobook. And so just like we've said, give, 15 minutes. I'm trying to condition myself that I'm going to read one thing on either, on paper, right? So I have the Black Fortunes sits by my bed. And now my thing is, all right, I've got to read for 15 minutes because I'm trying to train myself to give me more of that and to reclaim that time. We have to be gentle with ourselves. It took a long time to get us from reading every day So I am just pleased if people are listening to a book and listening to something other than what I would call nonsense, right?
I agree with you, but also at this point when it comes to our younger, if there are any young ones that we're listening, we talk to, you're still in the school system. Reading is should be fundamental,
Reading
right?
is
Now,
fundamental. No, it
you
is. It's,
two, you two can read,
yes.
okay? You can read, but for those that need to know how to read, it's kind of hard to say listen to the book.
So let me offer this. One of the things when I got in office, the thing that was most important to me was reading for our young people. I looked at our scores, particularly the scores in SMD2, as it related to reading and math. And I'm a reader, and I can, that's something I can easily tackle. So I created what we call the DEAR program, and we called it Drop Everything and Read With Me, where we go into the school once a month with the permission of the principal, and we knock on the teacher's door and we ask them to let us read for 30 minutes to the children. One of the next best things to a child reading themselves is being read to. So we'll want to encourage folks to read. I am done. We want to encourage folks to read to their children as often as possible. One of the
starts when they're in the womb.
It starts when they're
Mothers begin to read to their children
Yeah.
when they're pregnant, and their children recognizes their voice when they come out. When your children are young, they're toddlers, and they can't read, that is really what begins to encourage their love of reading.
Yes.
Is you reading to right? Like you reading that bedtime story every night to them. They start to learn to love to read by being read to. And that doesn't change. I mean, there are so many children's books where you can hear, where they design it for you to read along as you hear the story being read to you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So there are resources for every need and every convenience, I guess, so to speak. But the beginning starts being read to.
Being read to. And because we're reading, we're at 2 schools now of my 6 schools, my 6 elementaries, we're at 2. And those children write notes at the end of the semester and say, thank you for reading to me. Because sometimes my volunteers are the only people that have read to them. And our challenge to them always is, now we're reading to you, what are you going to read? So when we come back, you can tell us what you've read next. So it's encouraging those young folks to find something that they can enjoy and have somewhat a love for reading.
And I recall when I was growing up in school, now it's been a little bit, but our teachers had us rotating class, right? But we were reading a book as a class where Johnny would read.
Oh yeah,
page.
Loud.
We had to read aloud in class. And you have to be able to pay attention, right? To follow along with what's going on in the story. And I bet you learned to read that way too, was back in the day when you had to read aloud in class and you had to listen to your fellow students who maybe weren't as good a reader as you, right? And sometimes we had to help them with their words because they were struggling with sounding out their word, or they didn't know a word. But all of that is reading. It all counts as reading, whether you're hearing it or you have your physical eyes on the page.
Yeah. And we do want our babies. I mean, honestly, that I think I led with Dr. Tybee Nobles has this book, Gimme Gimme, which is a part of a series. She's written maybe 2 now. And these are easy. It's big, it's big print. It's designed for them. They see themselves in the pages because the kids look like them. We want to put these resources in front of them. Our nonprofit, the Community Table Foundation, has a program called Wisdom and Wonder, which will launch next year. It's a summer reading program where we pair seniors with young people so that they're reading with and to each other, and the students end up doing a report at the end, because we want you to be able to read and comprehend.
Read and comprehend.
I was in the bank last week and opening an account, and the banker, we did all the stuff, we talked about it, and he pushed the papers in front of me with a little thing of where I was to sign. Well, what do you think I did before I signed?
Read every word.
I read every word.
Every word.
Right? It's important that, we're talking about reading for the love of it, reading to make sure we understand how to read. I want to move us to this idea of we need to read to be informed and not assume facts, not an evidence, because someone said it so. We need to read for ourselves. My pastor, I grew up in Houston, Reverend Michael Jones, would say, before he would say, he would read the word and he'd kind of say stuff and he'd say, don't take my word for it, read it for yourself, right? And I want, for us older people, as we're entering into agreements, making decisions about what we're going to do, who we're going to vote for, it's really critical that we are reading and studying deeply and having dialogue and conversations with each other so that we can have a really good understanding about what we're agreeing to.
Right.
I've been in situations where the contract says some things that I didn't quite like, right? If you look at when you have to click yes, most of the time we just click those privacy settings. What are they allowing you? What are they saying they're going to do with your data? What are you giving away? Sometimes it's okay to walk away and just say no. And no, I don't want this app, or no, I don't want this, whatever it is. I don't
Even
want the free shoes.
when you go to the doctor now,
Oh, yeah.
you have all these boxes to check. Most people don't even read what they're checking.
Yes.
They just say, okay,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And you don't even know what you're allowing your doctor to do with your information,
Yeah.
your medical information.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay to say, no, please don't share it with so-and-so.
Because the risk of them having your data, doctors, apps, the software programs that we align to. I have a girlfriend who does AI notes with some AI form. I can never read the notes because I'm not going to agree to their terms of what they're going to do with my name, image, my likeness, the conversation.
And the rest of the information on your phone, you open up the ability for them to track every app and every time you strike a key on your phone.
Yep. Yeah.
We have two, Keith Tony, who was a former educator in the Fort Sam. He was a board member, Fort Sam, Houston. He put in the chat, reading comprehension is a vital flex. And also we have a teacher online now, educator online now, Reverend Jonathan Stanfield. He had a comment he wanted to make also with you while you're there.
What did he say?
What did he say?
Well, I'll let him tell you. He can unmute.
Well, I said that as a middle school teacher, I see daily how valuable it is to have students not only have the ability to read, but have the ability to comprehend and understand what it is that they're reading. Because I see it on a daily basis. Students think, "Oh, I can read," but are you understanding what you're reading? Do you know exactly what this means?
Because that's, I think, one of the reasons that so many kids are not successful on the STAR test is the comprehension component of the reading. They can't really answer questions about what they've read.
Yeah. And they don't understand what they've read.
They can say the words, but they don't know what the words mean when they're put together. So comprehension is absolutely critical.
So tell me, what are you doing in your classroom to help mitigate this, what I see as a looming problem for our young people?
So there are a couple of things that I tend to do. Y'all talked about audiobooks,
Yes.
which are very good. And sometimes what it helps to do is have the students have the actual text in front of them as well as the audio.
Read along.
Yes.
Because that gives them the ability to, because sometimes they'll see the word, they don't know how it's pronounced.
Correct.
And they'll struggle with that. They won't, if they're just reading to themselves, they won't ask, well,
Correct.
I don't know. But if they can hear the word, as they're seeing the word, now they get that understanding. And then when as they're reading a text, especially like if it's a fiction, when they hear like inflection of voice, when they hear all of these things, they begin to use kind of those context clues to understand what exactly is going on. Another thing is, of course, chunking your work, but having students do turn and talks about what did you just read? what's going on here? Do you understand what is happening? Or what does this mean to you? You know,
Yeah.
things like that really help students with their reading ability, but more importantly, like their reading comprehension.
So tell us about your personal reading. Are you an avid reader in your personal life?
So I'm somebody who has tons of books. I'm a person who never gets a chance to like get through one book before my mind is like, oh, let
On
me get
another book. I love it. I love it.
So even my wife is just like, you just have books and books and books upon books.
Yes. Yes.
So yes, I attempt my best to be an avid reader. One of the things that I actually just did was I got rid of my Audible. I got rid of my Audible, not because I'm against Audible, but I got rid of my Audible because I wanted to pick back up the habit of tangibly touching a book.
Book. Yes.
I think Audible is great, especially again it gives that theatrical feel to whatever it is that you're reading because
Right.
you get to hear the change in tone, the change in voice, the change in character. But I think it's something powerful about reading a text and letting your mind imagine.
I agree.
What
Yes.
what is
Yes.
happening.
I agree because it truly transports you in your mind in
Yes,
a
and
way
so
that's different from Audible.
yes, and so I go back and forth in between the two, but I'm trying to be better at actually taking the time to turn off whatever is going on around me and
Yes.
actually sit down and read a book. But like, for example, I was reading James Clear, Atomic Habits. I think
Yes.
a book like that for Audible, I think it's great because
Yes.
it's you're gaining knowledge, you're gaining information. But if you're reading a book like well, the one that just comes to mind, Stephen King's It, having the ability to like read that and imagine what's going on in your
Right.
mind.
I agree
I think
100%.
That
that
would
does
scare
a
me to
lot.
death. I couldn't read that.
I love Stephen King. I started reading him in 5th grade. So
Yes,
I love Stephen King. But yes, it
yes.
does. It
And so
does something to your imagination.
yeah, and then just like, especially if you like, say you watch the movie and then you read the book or you hear the audible, that also does something. So I think we live in a great time and space where kids have the ability or have the opportunity to see something visually and
Yes.
then also go back to read something and kind of make those connections and you know kind of get a visual description as to what's going on.
Yeah, I love that. I would not read it.
Stephen
I
King.
would not read. I would have to listen to that only so I
Did
could
you-
turn it
You
down.
never read Carrie?
No, oh my gosh. That's why I don't read horror.
Carrie?
I watched the movie and I could not sleep.
You never read the book.
No, I watched the movie and then I couldn't. So some things, you know, we talk about. One of the big issues, it's one of many issues that we deal with on the school board. One is books and what books are appropriate for people. Goes back to our parents, right? And what, based on what we know about our children, and what the librarian is telling us, because they're trained about what's appropriate, right? What we know about our children, what we're putting in front of them. I wanted to see Carrie because everybody at school was seeing Carrie. And my mother said, I don't think that's a good idea, Tracy. I was like, oh no, Mom, everybody knows. And she said, okay, go ahead. Yeah, right. And then I was knocking on her and my dad's door for like a week. She was like, back to your room. And so I love this idea that there's some things that that lend themselves to being audiobooks and some things that really help us to leverage our imagination by reading them aloud. I'd say Trevor Noah's first book, Born a Crime.
I think memoirs are great.
Great read.
Great to be done audibly because you hear the author's voice. You hear
Yes.
the pain in their voice
Yes.
when they're discussing their
Viola
crime.
Davis.
Viola Davis. Like
Yeah.
memoirs audible by their,
Yes.
it's unbelievable.
But we really have to try to make the time for
Absolutely.
the others.
I think you brought up a very good point as far as like, you know, how you're raised and what you are brought up around. Because I think one of the things that is really that kids do not seem to have anymore is what would be called like a third literary space, right? Because you may read at home, right? If your parents are pushing that, you may read at school because it's required. But for me, I grew up in church, and so you had to do some form of reading at church. You had to be able to present. You had to be able to speak, whether it was impromptu, whatever it was. But like, if I had not grown up in church, I would not know King Nebuchadnezzar. I would not, I would not have been
Right.
able to
That's correct.
things, right? So, and a lot of kids in this generation, they're missing that also because in that third literary space is oftentimes the people leading those were educators, whether it be Sunday school, vacation Bible school.
Yep.
You had teachers who were doing these things, and so they put kids in positions to where you have to read. You're being forced to read. I'm going to require you to read. I'm going to help you read.
Right.
After, if it was Wednesday, we had Bible study. Maybe the kids had tutoring. So you had teachers and educators in these other spaces that help kids get what they needed that they may not have had the chance to get in the classroom, whether it be the class size or class time. And so that's another reason as to why kids are not getting what they need. And another thing, I think it's already mentioned, I stayed at the Carver Library.
Yeah.
And so I had to go to the library because if I had to type a paper for school, I had to go to the library. Or if my mom had something that she had to do, we had to go to the library. While when she's at the library, what am I doing? I'm looking at all the books. Even if it's just something to thumb through. We went to the dentist's office, or she was at the hair salon. I had to sit.
That is correct.
You gotta have something to do.
I remember Highlights magazine for kids when I went to the doctor. So there were all these different places to where you were required to read. There were no cell phones. There wasn't any of those things. So you spent your time reading.
How do we? So you said Highlights. I'm thinking in my house right now, I've got my Ebony Juniors.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Ebony Juniors from when I was a little kid. That was a magazine that was designed for brown children like me.
Yeah.
How do we bring that third space back? I mean, in SMD2 and single member district 2 for NEISD, I am doing a reading program with my elementary schools. All the principals that will say, yes, I'm doing a reading program. So I become kind of the read to you.
We lost the ladies for a moment. I see them moving. They've lost connection with us for some reason. Not hearing the sound.
We can't hear on your damn phone.
Uh-oh.
We hear
Well,
you now, but we don't see
No,
you.
So go open your phone.
Yeah, so while they are trying to get connected back in here, we don't want to lose too much time conversating about the things that are at hand. I want to add this.
Tess,
We see you, and we hear you. I brought up.
Technical difficulties.
we didn't read the manual, right?
that happens. There are spaces. I think Audible is good. I know sometime when I'm writing, I only have one thing that's on Audible. That's the Bible, and I don't listen to it all the time. But I have it on Audible because I do prefer to read. As a matter of fact, I have a lot of study software on my computer, but I have a ton of books, and I prefer to pick up a book, read a book. Nowadays, even more, we have Bibles on our phone, but I'm in the habit now of carrying my paper Bible, my leatherback Bible.
Yeah.
I feel more important when I actually carry my leather Bible. I feel
That's
more
important.
like a preacher.
How you
when I
feel?
hold it. Yeah.
Yes.
Now, I have it in my head and in my heart, but I
Right.
like to have it in my hand too.
Absolutely.
So when we talk about Audible, I guess I'm still stuck in that well over 60 age group, and so I'm still the paper man. I like to turn the pages, but I will listen to it. I will come up to date every now and then and listen to some things and deal with the electronics. But I'm still that guy. I think reading.
We love paper too.
All
I
these
see.
came from our libraries,
I
right? So
see.
these are books that we own.
Okay.
I use and I don't use Audible because again, I'm frugal. I use the San Antonio Public Library's Libby app, which allows you to download books that they have on audiobook. But depending on what I'm reading for example, this is a great book called We Are Each Other's Harvest. And it talks about its stories of food, culture, resilience from all over the United States and what families of African descent have done in and on the land. I want to hold this. I want to highlight, and sometimes I won't highlight my books, but when it's really good to me, I'm going to highlight to go back to it. I am reading on paper in my hand, Black Fortunes. When I'm listening to a book, if I'm listening to a book, I may be listening to like a John Grisham where if I miss it, it's okay.
It's a novel.
It's a novel, right? But this, I want to know about these people. I want to go back easily to these people who have made fortunes in America.
Right.
And so those are great books. There's a great book called I've Got the Light of Freedom. Again, I want to know these stories of our history. I want to interrogate and investigate them. And so a hardcover book or that's a trade back. Becomes the important way to do that. We are sitting on my brand new deck that I made for my birthday. Yay to the deck,
Yes.
deck time. But part of the reason I built this deck is what the gentleman was saying earlier about where's the third space for reading. This becomes my third space. And so many of us, the stress level of our lives are up here. But I can come after work. I can sit out here with my book and my sweet tea and just let the rest of the world fade away. And I guess what I want to encourage folks to do is give yourself that gift of 15 or 30 minutes of quiet to read something that's interesting to you, that challenges you, that helps you see the world a little differently, that makes you question, that makes you want to go and research. I love it when I read a book or read an article
Need to go.
and I'm like, is that true? Sometimes I'll call Tina and say, is that true?
Right.
But then I want to go to a different source. Before we finish, I want to move to one of the things that's important for our community, and that is reading for understanding and knowledge so that we can make good decisions about what is happening around us, impacting us, and as a result, possibly to us. And if we don't build the muscle of reading for understanding and information and curiosity, we're going to miss it. We're going to look up and a bill would have been passed that we didn't know about, that we did not advocate against or for whatever changes, because we didn't take that time
to do the research.
Because
so many people make assumptions about things based on headlines without actually doing the deep digging to find out if that headline is telling the entire truth or just a portion of the truth.
Right.
Or a portion of the truth they want to use to influence you, because they know most people are lazy readers.
Yeah.
They really don't. The majority of people do not spend the time doing the research and reading complete articles. Like, people just don't take the time to read to learn anymore.
Mhm.
I agree. Reverend Stanfield has his hand up. Let's hear what he.
Hey, Reverend Stanfield.
Hello. So again, that is so important. I teach social studies, and
Yeah.
all of my kids, they get their information, which is it's the day and age. They get their information from social media. We
Right.
get some of our information from social media.
Yeah.
Right.
However, what they struggle to understand is what is a credible source.
Yes.
Just because you heard this or you saw this, or maybe you saw this on 5, 6, 7 different pages. Well, where did that come from?
Yes.
Is this truly a credible source? And so again, if they are just getting this from the swipe of their thumb and they're
Right.
not actually sitting down, reading the text and looking at the annotations of that text and saying, oh, this is where that came from. This is when it was written, who was written by, all of that information.
Right.
They're liable to believe anything. And that's
Anything.
what they do. They believe anything. Oh, because I saw it and I heard it, and I'm
Right.
like,
It was on
Like-
the internet, so it's true.
it was on the internet, so it's true. So like, for example, I just saw a something on the internet on Instagram about how De'Aaron Fox, who plays for the Spurs, was like a part of this betting group. Well, the very first thing I did was I said, "Is it on ESPN? If it's not on ESPN, I'm not going to
It's
believe
not
it
true.
just yet because that source could just be anything." And so it's important that even if they are getting their information from social media, that they recognize the source, but they get better at that when they read. If they read and learn how to see what the source of this information is, that
Yes.
helps them in the long run, especially if they're going to go to college.
Yes.
Yeah. And I
And
think
y'all are so correct. There are a lot of places that our people are getting information from, and again, I go back to what Tracy was saying. We're in a critical time. We're in a critical time when when there's a lot going on politically, socially. Um, that's important, and we have to make sure that we can direct people because that stuff will not be audible, you know. So we have to direct
That's
people.
correct. You have to read it.
You
you have
have
to
to
read.
read it, and you have to read it with comprehension.
Correct.
So that's the space we're in now. That's one thing. That's why I was concerned. I'm always concerned when I hear audible. And I think we can get lazy with audible. That means that I don't really have to sit down and really take it in. Now I'm gonna ask you a question. And do you retain better when you hear it or when you read it?
Oh, I retain better when I have a book.
I agree, but I think it's just like different people learn differently.
Yeah.
So some people probably do learn better when they hear it versus reading it. But I absolutely think I learn more when I read it, but I can't say that that's the same for everyone. Let's ask the teacher.
So, yes, studies show that the level of retaining information, there's not that big of a gap. Because again,
Really?
there are those who do better with reading it, just like there are those who do better with hearing it. For me, I can read it and I can hear it, but I need you to show me. I need to see what does it look like. Oh, okay, now I can apply it because I've seen how
Yeah,
that
reading is
works. And
better.
so it does play into
Is that better?
what type of learner are you? What type of learner are you? Are you
Can I see
well,
you?
I have students who will do well by just reading the text. I have students who will do better by hearing it. Then I have students who will do better by actually applying it. And that's how they learn.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of the person.
That's what
So
I think.
so in this season that we're in, and one thing D2 try to do, we try to share information. Most of the time, our information is with graphics or with words.
Right.
So for those, brother Keith is our vice chair. It maybe are y'all saying that maybe we should do a little bit of both now when we're
Yes.
trying to share information? Do a little bit more with our
Voices.
audible. Go
I,
ahead.
well, when someone presents graphics, don't they talk about the graphics they present? They don't just
Not always. If you with social media, a lot of stuff you do is with graphics, and they're looking at the pictures, just pretty much.
right.
Yeah.
But pictures
That's
don't always tell the complete story. It gives you
That
a good snapshot. And so that's why when you're in class, with your teachers, they give you bullet points, right? But they extrapolate on that. They give you the details behind those bullet points. So you can't always get everything from a picture, all the information you need.
no, I'm just saying. A lot of times when we putting stuff out, we're putting the picture out. We might have a little bit of information with it.
Yes.
My question was, should we start putting some audio behind some of those
And so
graphics?
I think what you could do is definitely present the graphic on one post, but maybe in another post, just have a short snippet of actually talking about what this graphic is saying,
Yes.
what it,
That's what I was
the,
saying.
the information that we're giving, because you are going to have those people
That's better.
who are going to look at that graphic and If it's just those bullet points, they go get everything from that bullet point, and they'll have exactly what they need.
Right.
But then you're gonna have some people who, okay, I see that, but what are you actually trying to tell me? And so maybe if behind that, maybe a day later or so, you give like a short video. Hey, I know you saw our graphic, and this is what that information was. And even I think forums like this are best because it allows for that open dialogue.
Yeah, I think you have to have all three.
Yeah.
People need to, because some people are just going to look at the top line.
Yeah.
And as we try to make sure our folks are informed, we have to be the loudest voice in the room. We have to break through the clutter of all the other pieces that are out there, the misinformation that's out there. We've got to also give the detail. And so that means giving a little bit more of a longer form. And then for those people who need to hear it, then we've got to give them something orally, and we've got to have a space like this. One of the, we have a big election in November. Well, who are you voting for and why? Right? Why are you voting for, and Tina's not running for anything, but I'm just going to use her. Why are we voting for Tina versus John? Right? What is Tina about? What is John about? How do they help move our community forward? If we're not in conversation with one another, if we're not reading what Tina wrote and what John wrote and what Tina said and what John said, and with a really great understanding about what the issues are in our community, not just what was posted in someone's post that was angry or disappointed by one experience, then we're going to miss the mark. So as we go back to this idea of loving to read, some of that is for our own pleasure. My third space here, it just brings me joy. But some of it is for our survival. We need to read, we need to challenge, we need to ask questions, and we have to talk about it and be okay disagreeing.
Right.
And making decisions based on a combination of information, not just what we read or saw on one news broadcast or one Instagram feed or Facebook post, or, angry person's comments.
Right. So I guess the answer is, for us, when we're putting our information out, we must, Keith said we have to be hybrid. One said we have to use all three forms of communication.
All the forms.
And so now Keith said he's tactile. He's tactile. He has
There's some
read
action
it.
behind
He
it.
needs to touch it. Yep.
He needs to touch it. Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm in agreement, and that's one thing we're going to start doing, is making sure our information reaches every platform. It goes out over,
Yes.
whatever way we can send it out is going out there. Whatever way we can communicate is going out that way. And what we're trying to say needs to go out every way.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
I definitely think spaces like this are important, because especially when it comes to politics, some people think that things are just very black and white, and they don't understand the nuance
Yes.
of
Right.
situations.
Correct.
And without conversation, you're just gonna stick to the black or the white versus
Correct.
getting, even if, like you said, even if we disagree, you know what? You may have given me a different perspective
Yes.
Exactly.
that I did not understand, and I would not have gotten that perspective unless it was that we had a conversation.
Yes. Yes.
And I
Yes.
think that's why in the preacher field, we read other books, we're not
Yes.
stuck with one commentary,
Right.
because we want the perspective that the Lord gives us. And then we read those other books for the perspectives and maybe some background knowledge that we don't get just by reading the Bible alone. So
Right.
yeah, I think all of it is equally important.
Yeah. I'm really grateful for this time. Thank you for allowing us to have a conversation with you from the deck. Sorry about the sun.
About reading.
About reading from the deck about reading, and sorry for the sun. We tried to adjust for that, but this is a great third space for me, and I'm going to encourage everyone to find their third space. Find that place.
Or their first space.
Oh,
So
because if you don't have one,
you gotta find a space.
find a space to quiet yourself and your mind and pour into you. Now, for me, reading is self-care. Sitting quietly and reading is self-care.
Yes.
Sitting quietly and listening to a book is self-care for me. I'm gonna ask us to lean into 15 minutes a day of something that we hadn't read before so that we are gaining knowledge that we didn't have before. I'm going to also challenge us to look at different sources, particularly for our news. Especially if you do cable news, it's kind of all one, they're all along the same. What else are people saying? Check out the BBC, check out some independent broadcasts, NPR, right? What else are people saying? And triangulate that to help make an informed decision. I'm going to encourage all of us to get the Libby app from the San Antonio Public Library, which is amazing, and spend some time at bookstores like Pandora and Nowhere Books. And you can literally, I tell people when they ask me what's a great first date, a great first date to me is a trip to the bookstore or the library. We can just, because if you're a reader, then we're going to be cool, right?
Correct.
Just what did you discover? And then that gives us something to talk about.
The coffee shop is a good place to read.
Oh, it's a
Or a
great
tea
place to
shop.
read. Yes.
Yes. Like
We have 3 minutes left.
Oh,
And
okay,
sorry.
let me thank you, ladies. I got a couple of replies. This was an incredible conversation.
Thank you.
Somebody said they wish it didn't have to end. Maybe we can pick it back up. We will pick this back up a little later. We were going to pick it back up. I can't say when, but in the near future, I promise you, we're going to pick this conversation back up. I read a book, read something.
Read something.
Read something, you know. To all of our kids that may watch, you know, my granddaughter, she's a lawyer now, but she was with us most of the time. And I used to tell her to go to bed, and at 4 or 5 years old, she could read. And she would get under the blanket with a flashlight
Yes.
and read a book. You
Yeah,
know,
me too.
until I found her, till I catch her
Yes.
under that blanket. I literally had to force her to stop. You know, and
Is
as
that what
lawyers,
books
you
do?
got to be readers. As
Yes.
preachers, we have to be readers.
Readers.
As educators, you have to be readers.
Yeah.
If you're going to make it in this life, you better know how to read.
That's right.
And-
As
and
elected
so
officials, you got to be a reader.
we got
As a
to be readers.
voter, as a
As a
voter,
voter,
you need to
need to
be
be
a
a
reader
reader.
and understand what people stand for and
Right.
against.
Yes.
That's important.
So it's all important, and we're gonna have this conversation again. I enjoyed it. Let me ask everyone, if you're watching now, we're trying to move our YouTube page. Go there, D2 Strong. I had 2017, but it's just D2 Strong. Go to D2 Strong, like it and share it. We're gonna need tell somebody else to go read it, like it and share it. You know, read the writing and like it and share it. That's what we need everybody to do so we can get our movement on our YouTube page. Thank all of you, those of you by Zoom, those of you that are on the Facebook page, those of you that are on the YouTube page. We thank you for joining in. We're going to be back on here Thursday night with our D2 meeting. Let me say this, it would be redundant of me not to make this announcement. One thing we're working on is a program, well, not a program, but something for our young people to do to get more involved in this political season.
Yes.
One thing we came up with, I introduced it to some of those at the state level on yesterday. What we're trying to do is use our young people to create a voter's guide that speaks to their peers. Then
Nice.
we
Good
want them
idea.
to design it that it's attractive to their peers, and we're going to promote it, but we want our San Antonio young people to be the catalyst of this movement. And
Love
I
it.
think we're the first ones to use them in that capacity. So we want to get them back. We had a good conversation with them a couple of weeks ago. We want to get them back. We want to get them to work on this material, and we want to get it out. And I think it's going to be a great thing once we get that moving. We have our banquet coming up September 18th. We're working on that. We're getting good responses and good support coming in for our banquet. Thank God for that. So September 18th, the Pathfinders for Progress banquet will be coming up. Remember, like and share. Tracy, Tina, thank you. Stanfield, thank you for your input. Those of you that are watching, thank each and every last one of you. God bless you, and we'll see you next Tuesday night this time. But for sure, keep Tony as our vice chair want to say something. Come on in.
Oh, I just wanted to again thank the ladies. This was so interesting, and it just took me back many years. My youngest child is 46 years old and
Oh, wow.
about to retire from the Army. He's a colonel, and he tells his children about how they had to read. Sometimes they appreciated it, sometimes they didn't,
Right.
but they had to turn the television off and read. And this is so essential. So I want to thank Dr. Jones. He's really an innovator and getting things like this out to us all. So thank you so much, ladies, and I can't wait for us to follow up on this and expand it.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Reverend
Thank
Stanfield,
you.
and then we go.
I thought it was an amazing conversation. I would encourage everybody to read something that makes you feel like a kid again. I'm going to go back
I
to
love it.
Virginia Hamilton's The People Could Fly. But as we're
Yes.
talking about reading,
That's so good.
have the kids write. Because
Yes.
have them write. Please
Yes.
have them write. That's it.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I'm reading. It's an old book. I went back to it to finish it because when I read it, I have to get a dictionary to understand it. Barack Obama's Audacity of Hope. So I have to have a dictionary to understand the words that he have in there. So you better know how to read so you can get an understanding of what you're reading. Hey, God bless all of y'all. See some of y'all or all of y'all on Thursday night.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right.
Good night. Good night. Bye-bye.